Howdy, guys, and welcome to night 31 of Big Brother Season 23, and welcome to Cliff Notes from outside the Big Brother house. Now, first of all, apologies. My voice is almost gone. Video's going out a little bit later than it normally does. I was at the Big Brother Canada versus USA fights last night, and then I spent all night long hanging out with all the Big Brother house guests. I was fanning. I was having so much fun meeting everyone else. Did all that. Came back and tried to get caught up on the live feeds as well. Been a long night, but hey, I still wanted to give a little bit of an update about what happened last night. Man, I was happy the house guests went to bed a little bit earlier. Makes it a little bit easier. So let's talk about what did occur. Now, first of all, just as a recap, Thursday night endurance competition, Derrick is HOH, which makes me incredibly excited for the prospects of what this week could be. We did have nominations for veto competition. I'm already thinking ahead of today. We had the nominations for eviction this week, and as it turns out, we now have our nominations, and it is Sarah Beth and Brittany. Yes, indeed, with a possible backdoor. Christian certainly in the works. I would say not a possibility, a plan for a backdoor. Does it happen? We'll find out today with the veto once we have that conducted. I was a little bit surprised because as of the last recap I did, Derrick X was saying, "Yeah, I don't want to betray the royal flush by putting Sarah Beth up. It'd be easier just to put two pawns up instead." But Hannah or Tiffany or some combination got into Derrick's head just a little bit more, and so we do have Sarah Beth and Brittany both on the block. Both of them probably are safe, but we'll find out. What do we say? No one is safe when you're on the block, right? All right, so let's talk about some of the conversations that happened late afternoon into the evening itself. First of all, we've got the Kings that are all meeting, the former Kings. We'll just call them the Kings. The Kings are all meeting. They're a little bit surprised. Now, I'm not sure what they were thinking. I guess the assumption was that they would probably just go after the two jokers, two of the three jokers instead. Sarah Beth has thrown them for a bit of a loop. They aren't really sure who the actual target is right now. But Xavier is saying, how do we know that Derrick X's nomination speech made no sense whatsoever? There was one mention I remember hearing that apparently Derrick X said something to Sarah Beth during her part, saying something that she wasn't honest. There was some dishonesty involved. So Xavier saying, I don't know what this is going on in this guy's saying. It's crazy. Christian saying Derrick X already screwed up his HOH. Just silly. Don't know what's going through that guy's head at all. We know, right? Alyssa starts off worried about a backdoor, saying, I think they may be coming after one of us. Doesn't that make sense, right? Yeah, it does, Alyssa. But by the end of the evening, it really seems like her and the entire rest of the Kings' former team, that they just don't seem like they're really buying into this idea that there could be a backdoor. At least not to each other. I think they got to be nervous about it. They got to be thinking internally that's a possibility, right? I think so. But at least on the face of it, they're trying to assure each other and calm each other down by saying, there's no backdoor. We need to win a veto. We need to get Sarah Beth off, and we're good. No worries whatsoever, guys. We do have, they talk about it. They say, look, if there's not a backdoor, why is Sarah Beth up on the block? And they're thinking, they've really decided, he's going after the jokers. He's not going to mess with the Kings, right? Yeah, we're the Kings. Derrick X isn't going to mess with us. And remember this, Alyssa and Christian think they've got a Final Four with Derrick X and Hannah. So maybe that's helping convince them to think that they're not going to get turned on this quick. They just formed the alliance last week. So as a result, with all this conversation, they're really thinking that Brittany's the actual target, that they're probably, Derrick X she's an easy target. He doesn't have to offend anyone, get blood on his hands from any big person. Put Brittany up, send her home, and they're figuring Sarah Beth is only up there because Hannah's tight with Derrick X, and so Derrick X just did it to keep Hannah happy. So they got it all figured out, right? Well, maybe not quite so much. Christian is not happy. Christian's not happy. None of them are happy, but Christian's not happy. He said, look, if that's the case, and if they are going after Sarah Beth, if that's it, we gotta win veto. We gotta take Sarah Beth off just to screw with Derrick X's plans. That's all he's thinking is, how dare Derrick X go after someone in the Kings? So we got to take her off just to screw around with Derrick X, because how dare he do something like that? But Christian does mention at some point, he's also, at least in the back of his mind, thinking there could easily be a backdoor. And if there is, he's got to think that he could be a leading target. I don't think he's quite as trusting as Alyssa is at this point in time. Sarah Beth is worried, and she has a valid point. Sarah Beth saying, look, I get it. I hope I'm okay and all that. We've got the royal flush, and Derrick X is part of it. As long as we've got the royal flush, then we should be good, right? I mean, I'm in the royal flush. Brittany isn't. Doesn't that make sense that we know who's going to go home? But at the same time, she is saying, but what if the queen's turned against us? What if the queen's turned against me? Maybe there's something going on we don't know about. And Sarah Beth's worried. She said, my birthday is on, I think, eviction night. Or no, I think it's veto night. I don't know. It's this week. And she said, I don't want to be on the block. I don't want to potentially go home on birthday week. That'd be horrible. Yeah, it would, but it is what it is, my friend. But she's worried the queens could potentially turn against her. And it made me start thinking, the fact that Sarah Beth is put up, you kind of say, oh, Hannah had some influence and all. You can probably get past that a little bit. But if Sarah Beth does go home, if the back door against Christian doesn't work for whatever reason, and Sarah Beth was to go home, what does this do to the royal flush? I mean, the kings, the queens, they've been saying they're tight, this big alliance. Suddenly you feel like maybe the kings and queens are going up against each other, and that this alliance is not maybe what it was promised. Yeah, Sarah Beth's kind of on the low end of the pecking order. I think a lot of people would acknowledge that, accept it. But you could certainly, I mean, Kylan's not going to be happy, right? You could certainly start seeing some friction between the kings and the queens. And trust me, for my season, I'll tell you, all you got to do is put a little wedge in place into these big groups, and things can fall apart incredibly fast. And we may be seeing that. That's one of the reasons I'm so excited about watching to see what happens this week. All right, Derrick X is trying to talk to everyone. He had one-on-ones all day yesterday. And I missed a lot of them, but I've seen some of the recap on that part of it. But he had one-on-ones yesterday. Now he's talking to a lot of people trying to justify why he did it. And he's got different reasons for everyone, it seems like. But he is talking to Brittany, and he's saying, Brittany, you are 100% safe. I know you don't want to be up there, and it kills me I had to put you up there. And I do think he felt bad about it. But he says, you are 100% safe. And then he goes on to tell her, says, look, if you get house guest choice on veto, don't pick Christian, okay? Just trust me, don't pick Christian. Brittany knows. Brittany hasn't always been completely in the loop within this game, but Brittany was asked the leading question. If I got a house guest choice, who should I not pick, Derrick X? And I think based on that, she's got to know that they're going after a backdoor plan. And she seems like she's feeling comfortable. I mean, we've seen Brittany have some meltdowns when she's on the block. We're not seeing that as much this time. Is it because she's so used to being on the block? Don't ever get used to being on the block, Brittany. That's not a good sign either. But I think that inside, she probably suspects and feels somewhat strongly that she is safe this week. And I think she is too. All right, so we've got that. Derrick X has also told Sarah B the plan. I don't know if he originally planned on it, but he's feeling bad. He has told her the backdoor plan. But Sarah B smart. She's saying, well, you can trust me with it, Derrick X. I'm not going to tell the Kings, because if I tell them, they're going to take the veto win, and they're not going to use it, leave me on the block rather than risk Christian or Alyssa, because it could be either one. So she says, I'm not saying a word to them. You just do your magic, and Derrick, I hope you use it. I hope you do exactly what you're planning, then I'm safe. So she does know about it as well. She now, because of that, is considering asking Xavier playing the veto instead of Christian, which should be a huge red flag to the Kings, right? If Sarah Beth does get house guest choice today and the veto draws, she doesn't pick Christian to play for, the alarm bells ought to be going off immediately. We'll see if they do or not. I heard later Christian did make a mention of saying, hey, I think Sarah Beth may pick Xavier to win. I'm not sure exactly how he thinks that without getting really worried, but he kind of suspects that could be the case. We're going to find out. She may not get the option, but if she does, it'll be fun to see what she does. Derrick X is talking to Christian, Alyssa, and Xavier. And Derrick X is telling them, saying, look, Brittany's a target. That's who I want out is Brittany, guys. He said, Brittany's a target. if she comes off somehow with a veto, another Joker's going up. And I don't remember if he specifically said Derrick F, but that was kind of the implication. Either way, it's going to be a Joker going home, but I want it to be Brittany. Later, Alyssa's talking to Sarah Beth, and she repeats this to Sarah Beth. Said, "Nah, girl, you're good. Yeah, you don't have to worry about it. It's the Jokers he's going off of. You were perfectly fine, Sarah Beth." Sarah Beth knows the true story. She suspects that she may be okay, but if not, it's going to be a surprise to see who may actually go home. I'm looking forward to it so much. Sarah Beth is later talking to Kylan. She's saying, "Look, if I win HOH, I'm sending Derrick X home." Is she serious about that? She could be. I mean, I think she's a little chap that she got put up. And of course, Derrick X and Hannah are tied. And I don't care what they're saying about Sarah Beth and Hannah trying to work together. It ain't happening. No way, no how. So yeah, I think if she got HOH, I could see Derrick X and Hannah both going up on the block without hesitation from Sarah Beth. We got Derrick X and Tiffany in the HOH room. Derrick is telling Tiffany that, man, I'm doing all your dirty work, Tiffany. Tiffany comes back and says, "No, you're doing our dirty work." Well, I kind of buy it a little bit more, Derrick X. They may have some shared objectives, but Tiffany is definitely still a little bit of the puppet master, still pulling a few strings here or there, and that includes Derrick X as well. He recognizes it, but he's willing to go along with it for right now. Derrick X is also mentioning the fact that Sarah Beth, he's saying, "Hey, Sarah Beth wants to work with Hannah. I think we maybe can make something happen there." Tiffany's shutting that down real quick. She said, no. She said, Sarah Beth's been playing this game from day number one. Don't believe a whole lot of stuff. She's just playing the game, Derrick X. And here's the other thing, Derrick X, with so many people that aren't part of the royal flush, how can you assume that Sarah Beth wouldn't go after Hannah if she had the chance? Because there's not a whole lot of people that aren't in the royal flush, and if she's gonna go after Hannah, would she go after you? Well, we just got through here, and Sarah Beth saying that that's exactly what she would do. So Tiffany's right on this part. She's recognized who the threats are and who they aren't. Derrick's holding out hope that maybe they can work something out. Yeah, it isn't gonna happen. Alyssa and Christian making out in the yacht room. They're on Derrick's old bed, and they're enjoying their time together. We'll just leave it at that. They do take a little time out to talk a little bit of strategy. Alyssa is talking about the way things are going, and they're already looking forward to next week. Alyssa's saying, "Look, man, we both can play for HOH. We need to backdoor Derrick X. Let's put up Azza and Derrick F on the block, and then we'll actually backdoor and get Derrick X out of the house. And then after that, we'll go after Xavier, and we'll go after Sarah Beth in the next few weeks." It kind of caught me off guard when they said Xavier. I've got to do a little research and figure out just what the connection is. I thought they were somewhat tight with each other, being kings and all that, but the name was mentioned, and it's just the two of them, and you expected the two of them trust each other. So that was thrown out there. But I just think it's funny. There's a backdoor plan to get Christian out this week, and just as that's happening, they're already talking about trying to backdoor Derrick X next week. So let the games, let the betrayal, let the backstabbing begin. This is what we've been waiting for. This is going to be fun. All right, we've got Christian. And I was going to do some more checking on this, and I just forgot. A long night. Christian has a plan to get Brittany to throw the veto competition. I think he's going to try to convince her that she's good, that she's just a pawn, that it works for her benefit. If Brittany is on the block, no matter how safe she feels, if she is on the block, she throws a veto competition and forces herself to potentially be on nomination night on that block a third night in a row. Well, she ought to just go home right there. Brittany better not fall for it. She better give this thing 100%. 1, to protect herself. 2, to build a little bit of a resume. And as part of that, 3, win a veto so people don't just keep considering her as a perpetual pawn. Because otherwise, if she can't prove that she's a threat from a competition standpoint, it gets easier and easier to just keep putting her on the block. And who cares other than Brittany? But the rest of it, who cares? So Brittany needs to fight. She needs to win this veto, pull herself off. And then if they backdoor Christian or whatever they do, at least she knows she's safe. She goes into eviction night. She doesn't have to practice any rap eviction campaign speeches or anything. She can just sit back and enjoy the show. All right, real quick, final thing. Hannah and Kylan are talking. Hannah is talking about Kylan's reaction when Sarah Beth was nominated. Now, we didn't see it because this was the nomination ceremony, which we won't see until Sunday. It's Sunday. So we didn't see it. But apparently, when Sarah Beth's name was mentioned, Kylan either acted shocked, upset. I don't know. He certainly responded to the point that Hannah's a little bit worried about it. You got to be careful when you respond like that. Kylan is saying, look, the six, and I assume he's talking about the Cookout Alliance. He said the six, they know my true feelings. They know how I actually feel, so it's not that big a deal. Well, maybe, but we already know that Tiffany's kind of trying to drive a little bit of a wedge between he and Sarah Beth by talking about how tight that she thinks the two of them are. And if this gives her more ammunition, I can see Tiffany somewhere down the road saying, yeah, Kylan says he's loyal to the Cookout, but did you see the way he responded when Sarah Beth's picture went up on the block? Do you believe that he's not really invested in her instead of us? So it just more ammunition if he truly did respond, as Hannah kind of is warning him he needs to be careful. Interesting. All right, Hannah finally. Hannah's saying that when she first came into the house, that she thought that Xavier must be some kind of numbers guy, an accountant, a scientist, or something. But the job of an attorney was also mentioned. Yet again, how many weeks in a row is this where someone's talking about Xavier being an attorney as a possibility? Are there whispers going on in the diary room that are helping people think about this? It's possible, but in my opinion, I don't think that's the case. I think Xavier just presents himself as a very logical, very confident person. Some people, some professions just have a different air about them. And I think Xavier just, I know he's a fairly new attorney, but I think he just has that logical thinking, the logical approach to things. And I think people just notice that, and they're making some assumptions just all on their own. I could be wrong, but I don't think that wouldn't be the first time. But anyway, so once again, talk about Xavier being an attorney comes up at the end of the season when they find out that he truly is an attorney. They're all going to be attorneys. We told you so. I knew it from the very start. Every single one of them's going to say they knew it from the very start. All right, guys, there you have it. House guests finally, they're in bed by 2 o'clock or so, Big Brother time. They all wanted to get to bed early so they can be up, do the nomination or the drawings for veto. And, there's a few of them that really want to win this veto. Now, here's the thing, and I'm not referencing a specific conversation, but we've heard talk. I talked about yesterday as well. Christian is so certain and really wants to win this veto. And we talked earlier, he wants to do it to pull Sarah Beth off the block and screw with Derrick X's plans. But there's also another plan afoot, that if Christian does win veto and then turns around and pulls Sarah Beth off, that Derrick X very well may turn right around and put Alyssa on the block and shoot for Alyssa instead and take her out also. But beyond that, there's also the consideration that if Christian wins veto, before he ever uses the veto, they may go talk to him and say, look, my friend, you use the veto. Yes, you can pull Sarah Beth off, but if you do, Alyssa, your no-match showmance is going up instead. And use that as a threat to keep Christian from actually using it. And if that happens, then Sarah Beth goes home. So there's certainly going to be little threats that are taking place. Scary part about that, I said I was done, but I'll throw this in. The scary part about that, Derrick X on the wall promised Alyssa that she was not going to go on the block, that she was safe this week. If she dropped and she didn't drop. She was done. But anyway, he said, you're safe if I win this HOH. If he now goes against that, even if he makes a threat of going against that, that's going to impact Derrick X just a little bit on a credibility standpoint. You can get away with it once or twice, but beyond that point in time, people aren't going to trust you for the end game. So that could have a little bit of an impact in his game. So from Derrick X's standpoint, he certainly doesn't want to get to that point. He wants the noms to stay the same. He wants someone to win it that's going to leave it alone, and then he just doesn't have to mess with it again. We're going to find out today. This morning is the veto draw. This afternoon at some point, could be this evening, but at some point today we'll have the veto competition. By tomorrow, we're going to have a much better feel about how the rest of this week is going to work out. But I'm expecting fireworks. All right, guys, y'all have a great Saturday. Enjoy yourselves. stay safe, but have a blast on this Saturday. I'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to get a little sleep between now and then, but I'll be back tomorrow. We'll talk about what happened to the veto competition and everything else. Cheers, guys. SKD 143.